I use the computer a lot. My wrist started hurting. That's why I tried every trackball. The first trackball I tried was the Protoarch EM01. It's pretty affordable, but honestly, I was looking for something to help my wrist pain, so I wasn't really paying attention to price. I figured it'd be worth the price if it stopped my wrist from hurting. As the first ball I tried, it's not bad, but as I'll get to later, it's not one of the ones I'll be keeping in the end. It has a normal left and right mouse button, as well as these two buttons, which seem to just change the sensitivity, and I don't know how to map them to something else, which I would prefer to do. It also has these two buttons, which are, I think, forward and back. And then you can press in on the scroll wheel, but you can't move it side to side. And then this button is to change connectivity modes. The next trackball I tried was the Protoarch EM05NL, which is pretty similar to the EM01, except it's vertical. Instead of my wrist sitting on the table like this, or like this, with the Protoarch EM05NL, my wrist sits a little bit more vertically, a little bit more like a handshake position, which is supposed to be more ergonomic. Honestly, for me, I didn't find it felt much better in comparison, although still much better than a mouse or trackpad. It has similarly a left and right mouse button, no left or right movement of the scroll wheel, but you can press it in. This button, I'm not sure what it does. And then these two buttons, which I think are forward or back, but again, you could map them. And then this one has Bluetooth connectivity with a dongle, or it pairs, but again, that's not really part of my criteria. And both of these have been quite affordable, but that's also not part of my criteria, because for me, it's just about reducing pain. The last thing I'll say about this one is I didn't realize when I had the Protoarch EM01 that the ball resolution is not that great. So it's a lot better on the EM05. When I move the ball just a tiny bit, then it moves the cursor. But on the EM01, you can move the ball a tiny bit and the cursor doesn't move at all, which is not something you'd usually notice, but once I switched, I definitely noticed it. I also found with the EM01, you have to take the ball out and clean it more often. And compared to some of the other ones I'll get to, it's kind of hard to take the ball out. You just need to press something in through the bottom here. It's not that hard, but just like an Allen key or something. And I find like if I'm using it every day, then I'll have to clean it like once a day at least. So yeah, you can knock the ball out and then you can just reach in your finger or shirt or something and clean out the socket, and then you can wipe the ball off and then put it back in, and then it moves more freely. And I probably will end up keeping this EM05. I liked it a lot. You know, it's a different wrist position, and I feel like it's good to mix it up sometimes. So it's nice to have this one, have it in like rotation with the other ones. It's certainly not my favorite, but I think it made the cut to not get returned. So the next trackball I got is the Kensington Orbit. This is the first one I got that's finger operated. So instead of moving the trackball with your thumb, you move it with your fingers. You can use whatever of your main fingers. And then you use the thumb for left click and either the pinky or ring finger for right click here. And then this one also has a scroll wheel that's actually around the trackball, which is pretty cool. I found this was the most ergonomic one so far of the three that I tried. It has this wrist rest, which actually comes detached, so it's easier to transport, and then you can just slide it on. And yeah, I really like this one. It feels really good. The ball moves really freely and has high resolution. If I had to come up with any complaint, it's kind of lacking in buttons. So there's only a left and a right click. There's no middle click, and there's no additional buttons. I'm definitely going to be keeping the Kensington Orbit. I like it a lot. It'll be one of the main ones in rotation. At the start, I thought I would just get one trackball and I'd try all these ones, but I realized like the most ergonomic thing, at least it feels this way for me, is to mix it up. So keeping a few and then having them in rotation, I think is probably the best option for me. And also it's just fun. Like a lot of these are cool and enjoyable. And so I would encourage you to take advantage of like Amazon's return policy or wherever you get them, just to try out a few. And then, you know, if you don't like one, you can return it within 30 days usually. The next trackball I tried was the Logitech MX Ergo S. It's remarkably similar to the Protoarch EM01, which I think copied it, except the Logitech one is like 3 times the price. Again, I'm not considering price here. However, it is definitely better. I like it a lot more. So it's slightly smaller, which I find actually significantly more ergonomic than the Protoarch, at least for me. I have like normal size hands, not particularly large. The trackball is also even harder to get at and get out, although it doesn't seem like I need to take it out as much to clean it. And then one of my favorite things is that in addition to the forward and back buttons, which I've mapped to volume up and down, the left and right mouse buttons, of course, and pressing in on the middle mouse button, the scroll wheel can also tilt left and right, which is good for scrolling left and right, which I actually find really useful in certain applications. In addition to that, the trackball has really good resolution. It feels super smooth. And like the Protoarch, you can move it to one of two different angles. And usually when I'm using it, I'll just like mix it up every like 20 minutes or something, give my wrist a break from one of the angles. And I find that really useful. It does have this button, which like changes between two different sensitivity modes. I'm assuming you can change it in the Logitech app, which I haven't got. I just usually leave it on one and then use an app on macOS called Linear Mouse to change the mouse sensitivity. The one complaint I would have with this one is the tracking can lose the mouse ball. The tracking can lose the trackball if you move it too fast. I think for me, that's not like a deal breaker because again, it's about pain. And this one is more ergonomic than the Protoarch, but it's something to keep in mind. It gets kind of annoying sometimes. The next trackball I tried was the Ele Pro. So at first I was really excited about this one because it has a lot of buttons. Not only left and right click, but then there's additional one right next to right click. And then on the side, there are 4 additional buttons and a scroll wheel, which goes in and to the left and to the right. And of course scrolls. The thing is, the ball has what some people call stiction. So when you move it, you have to apply a lot of force to get it to start moving. And the amount of force you have to apply to get it to start moving is also kind of random. So it ends up being really frustrating to use. Unfortunately, I probably will be returning this one just for that reason. Everything else about it is awesome. Like my wrist position feels good. I like that I can move it around. I like that I have the scroll wheel accessible with my thumb. I read some things online about like possible fixes for the stiction by adding extra bearings, but I didn't really want to do all that. Maybe I'll try it, but probably I'll just return it, unfortunately. The next one I tried was the Ele Huge. I actually ordered something called the Ele Utama 8, which was supposed to be wireless, but I received a wired Huge. Anyway, it doesn't really matter because although I really like how many buttons there are, and I don't mind how big it is, I find it really uncomfortable on my wrist. I don't quite know why, but this one is just not a contender. My wrist will start to hurt pretty quickly after using it. The ball does move a lot more freely than on the other Ele, the Pro. It doesn't have the stiction problem, and it does have a lot of buttons that I really like, but again, not really comfortable. The next one I tried is the Kensington Orbit Fusion, which I guess is Kensington's answer to the Ele Pro because it looks kind of similar. But luckily this one does not have the same stiction problem. It does have the scroll wheel around the trackball too instead of the thumb operated one. It's just a matter of preference. It also has a number of buttons, so it has a right click here and then it has 4 buttons on the side. I'm not sure if they're all mappable though, maybe just 3 of them. This is the one I got most recently, so I haven't had a lot of time to play with it, but I do like it a lot. It feels really good on my wrist. Like the trackball is a little bit farther back from my fingertips, so it's a bit awkward to move and I have to kind of curl my fingers up. But honestly, the design of it's really nice. It feels good on my wrist, so this could definitely be one that I end up keeping. And it absolutely does not have the same stiction problems that the Ele Pro does. So the next one I tried was the Kensington Slim Blade Pro. This one's a little bit of a different design. It's just basically a square and it has a really big trackball in the middle. I thought it might be kind of cool, but without any wrist support, it doesn't feel good on my wrist. You scroll by just sliding your finger along this circle on the outside of the trackball, which rotates the trackball on its axis. And it has 4 buttons all around, so like left, right, and forward and back, which is actually kind of a cool design. But like when my hand's on it like this, it's kind of hard to reach this bottom right button. Also, the ball, it doesn't have stiction and it has a decent resolution, but it is kind of heavy. So I could see that getting kind of annoying using it for hours every day. You have to use more force than normal to move the ball. And then very similar to that one is the Kensington Expert. It's even bigger and it does have a wrist rest. So this one is definitely more comfortable than the Slim Blade Pro. And it has a real scroll wheel as opposed to the touch one, which I definitely prefer. But I also find it doesn't feel as good on my wrist as the other ones and my wrist will start to hurt using it. So I'm probably going to return this one as well. And it has the same problem where the trackball feels like far too heavy. Again, some criteria I didn't really go over here was connectivity, how cheap they feel, the sort of weight or size of them or how compact they are, and then also how loud the buttons are. because for me, those didn't really matter as much as like wrist pain being the number one, and then how good the trackball felt and how many buttons it had, although that one wasn't as important. And then also the ball resolution and if it jittered around, that sort of mattered. Definitely stiction was a deal breaker for me because that just gets annoying. But in terms of like low resolution or it jumps around a little bit, that wasn't as big of a deal, but it's still kind of annoying. So in summary, of the 9 trackballs that I got, I'm probably going to be keeping these 4. Probably swapping them out and using different ones every day and then returning the rest. I hope this video was helpful for you. Thanks for watching. Peace.